Welcome, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Q. Thomas, and it is January 16th, 2021. And of course, it's Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe. And tonight is a really special show. We are dedicating it to Martin Luther King. And to go right into that, I wanted to share a very, very brief video that Jay put together for us.
Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Was everybody able to hear that? Because somebody said no sound. Okay, great. Thank you. So just hearing his voice, hearing the vibration of that man who we honor today. And so tonight we're going to hear from a lot of community leaders because we're focusing on the vision that Martin Luther King had for community and service. I want to acknowledge John and Summer Raymer, who we're going to meet a little bit later today. They came up with that idea. They've been hosting dozens of different workshops and seminars and events all around Martin Luther King weekend. And of course, I want to welcome all of you who are watching. And I want to especially welcome those of you who are watching on Facebook. You can still come into our Zoom room, and we really want to encourage you to do that. Please come into our Zoom room, and it's easy to do that. You just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. It takes about a minute to register, and that way we get your name and your email address, and we can send you the replay of tonight's show and access to all 41 previous shows that we've done. We've been doing this show now since the pandemic began. So please come join us. We are the Global Peace Tribe, and we are getting to know each other, meeting each other, creating connection with each other. And if you can hear my voice, you're a very important part of who we are as we all come together. I also want to acknowledge that about 25% of the people who end up watching this show watch the video replay, and you're just as important to all of us. So thank you, welcome. I'm especially excited about tonight's show. The speakers that we have, the videos we're going to show, it's all quite special. And now it's my pleasure to turn it over to my producing partner, my co-host, the person who makes so many things happen for us. Here's Deborah Giusti.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome everyone to what is now our 41st show that we have produced every Saturday night since the lockdown in April during these highly challenging but very evolutionary times. And we've launched our winter season, and we have 13 new shows for you. And again, we thank you so much for your donations when you register to be on Zoom, because that really helps us produce these quality shows for you each week. So thank you so much. And as like Scott said, yes, this is a very special show tonight. Our theme is honoring Martin Luther King's vision for community and service. And aren't his words and important visions more important today than ever before? Aren't they just starting to land in our culture, in our community? His birthday was January 15th, but the whole nation will celebrate him on Monday, January 18th. And I believe this year it will be more meaningful than ever before. What is your life blueprint is a question that Dr. King asked, and he followed that profound question with keen insights as to what matters most in life. This included commitment to community and being of service. So we are honoring his legacy in this show by spotlighting individuals and organizations that are making a difference in their local communities. So we're bringing together community leaders, activists, artists who are dedicated to creating a better world locally and globally. And I'd love to introduce you now to our incredible presenters. First of all, I want to honor Reverend Martin Luther King, minister and activist who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement from 1955 until his assassination in 1968. And his words are so relevant today more than ever before. And I want to acknowledge Cindy Acker. She is a 5-time award-winning educator and playwright, and we are going to hear from her and hear about her very important show that's happening tomorrow. And acknowledging Reverend Tim Lytle. He's the senior minister of Unity in Marin, north of San Francisco, and serves on the board of Unity Worldwide Ministries. And saying hello to John and Summer Raymer. They are a powerful sacred partnership, creating many things together for the healing and transformation of the planet, including the Compassion Games, Sign Network, and much, much more that they're hosting for Martin Luther King weekend. And we're going to hear about that. And we're going to be featuring Antoinette Rusdawa Hall and Patu Batan. She's a world-renowned keyboardist in the reggae industry, and she is very proactive in the global outreach minister. Patu Batan is a 4-decade public presence in the reggae music and is now doing his ministry, creating positive and uplifting messages of global peace and love for humanity. And as always, we have incredible musicians. We're bringing back one of our favorite musical performers, Nina Gray. She's a singer-songwriter, recording artist who's committed to creating music with conscious, love-centric messages. And we're featuring Jenna Carter for the first time. She's a 20-year-old musician on the journey of doing her dharma of incredible voice and music. And we're having Sri Kala. He's a songwriter and musician that sees art as a way to collect the fragments of self and bring them into a creative expression for healing of the individual and the audience. And we're going to have a lot of spoken word presenters. We have Oshala Dean. She is a dancer, producer, writer, spoken word artist, and wellness professional that has touched many. And we're going to be supporting her nonprofit Organization for the Arts today. We have Marshall Jones. He's a performance artist and incredible spoken word poet. We will have Lumbawa Edwards, fine artist, community healing circle leader, and Ricardo Moncrief. He's a retired Vietnam vet going from PTSD to social equity activism to innovative art is health and out-of-the-box empowerment projects. And as always, we want to honor our sponsor and executive producer, Jay Mayer, and associate producer, Jan Kaplan. So thank you, Jay and Jan, for supporting us and Saturday Night Live in all the ways that you do for incredible shows. I also want to acknowledge Christy Michael, who's been a collaborative partner on this show. So thank you very much, Christy. And our GoFundMe, we're starting our GoFundMe program where we're going to be generating income from your green love that you'll share with us during the show by donating to our nonprofit. We've generated over $70,000 last year for incredible, valuable nonprofits and victims of California fire and other accidents. So this is how we utilize this show, is getting the power of community to spread the green love for healing. So we appreciate your donations during the show, and we'll share more about that later. And we'll put the links for the donations in the chat room. But now we always love to start with music, because music unites us all and raises the vibration to set a very high vibration for the show. So I'm so happy to bring on Nina Gray. She's a singer-songwriter, recording artist, committed to creating music with conscious love messages. She has, since 2015, created and released over 180 original songs and videos with her signature. And most recently, she's been exploring her love of music and community by curating live jam sessions called Soul Jams in the LA. Spoken word, artists, singers, rappers, musicians, dancers, and spectators gather together for impromptu works. And we just love her music, and I'm so happy, Nina, to have you back and have you set the stage for this incredible show tonight. Welcome, Nina.
We're not hearing you, Nina.
Let's see.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
How's that? Okay. And I literally have a helicopter flown overhead right now. So I'm going to take 5 seconds while this passes. Maybe we can take a collective breath together and breathe in this beautiful community. Wonderful. Such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. I am beaming out big love from my heart from Los Angeles, California. And I'll be opening up with a song called Freedom. It was written while contemplating the foundation of this nation and often what we find as the dissonance between some of the statements that we were founded on and the realities for many communities here in the United States. While the population of the United States accounts for 4.4% of the global population, we represent 21% of incarcerated people worldwide. Furthermore, the population of Black African Americans in prison is 40% compared to the 13% that they represent in this nation from the population. The counterpart is 64% of white Americans account for only 39% of the imprisoned population here. So I want to bring this message of freedom as we step into 2021. We've had a tumultuous and fantastic 2020 as far as what it's revealed for us. And I really believe that we get to step forward and start to really shift these institutions that hold us back from the unity and the peace and the harmony that so many of us seek. And we get to rise up and say, no more. Let's do something new. Bernice King, beloved daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., recently shared, acknowledgement and repentance, accountability and justice come before healing and unity. And Marianne Williamson says the same thing. This national atonement must happen before we can successfully move forward together. I'm a firm believer of that as well, and I know that we're capable of it. So I shared this song, Freedom, to celebrate this notion of what we all deserve and where I know we're going. And it might take us rolling up our sleeves a little bit more, but may we all be committed to the freedom of all. Hey, what if we retold the story? Remember the glory of all of our differences. And hey, what if we rewrote the script, let go of all that old shit in our heads? And hey, what if we laid down our weapons? What if we stopped pretending hatred was justified? And hey, what if we raised the bar up, demanded a little more out of our lives? 'Cause I've always dreamed about freedom, freedom. But I know we'll never be about freedom till it belongs to all of us. Men have talked for years on war and peace, yeah. They've talked themselves blue and red in the face. Men have built walls where there could have been bridges held. Men created race to separate. We'll blame it on our lack of urgency. We'll blame it on just having better things to do. Well, as we rise together, together in 2021, turning a blind eye is something we must refuse. 'Cause I've always dreamed about peace and harmony, but I know we'll never be about peace until there's justice in these streets. Cause I've always dreamed about freedom, freedom. And I know that we're gonna be about freedom, 'cause it belongs to all of us. And if we could just take 30 seconds of silence for everyone that is behind bars, serving sentences that far outweigh their debt to society, for everyone that is locked up for crimes they did not commit, for every family member that is not there to join their family at the table. You are not forgotten, and we continue to do the work for you. Now, if we could take some silence and just beam some love and prayers out of our heart to those men and women behind bars. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nina. It's just you're such a special soul, and we're so grateful to have you part of our Saturday Night Alive family. And thank you for getting us off to such a beautiful start. We're blessed. Nina's going to come back again, but I do want to let people know how you can get more of her. Nina does session work. She does. Tell us about the vocal work and the session work that you do, Nina.
Absolutely. I have a deep passion and love for guiding people if they want to become stronger and more authentic in their speaking voice, in their singing voice, in their written voice. I love guiding people in one-on-one sessions to tap into their deeper truth and uncover their authentic soul voice so they can show up for these revolutionary times in the ways that they feel called to.
Well, beautiful. Thank you so much. We love you. Thank you.
Love you too.
Wow. Well, we're 20 minutes in and I'm already teared up. So thank goodness I've got a video to show. We're going to show several videos created by Pato Banton. Those of you who came into our Zoom room early got to see an interview with Pato. And I think he's just done a beautiful job. And so here is his tribute to Reverend Martin Luther King.
Yeah. This one is dedicated to the King, Martin Luther King, our civil rights champion. Understand me, no man. And this one is dedicated to all the people all over the world, to every man and woman, every boy and girl, to everyone who believes that equal rights and justice should apply to all, regardless of our color, class, or creed. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. Well, just like MLK, I had a dream today. And like Bob Marley, I got so much things to say. Hey, wanna talk about empathy, equity and equality. Wanna talk about ending war and how to end poverty, how to end racial hate and police brutality. Cause where there's no justice, oh Jah, there can be no peace. Seems like humanity is in a state of emergency. We need more ethical leaders with a sense of integrity, like Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. You see, there are so many problems, and we need some solutions. Yes, let's get together now and start a love revolution. And we can't stop, no we can't slow up. We gotta keep pressing on. If you can't run then walk, can't walk then it's time to crawl. He said, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can do that. He said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I've decided to stick with love, hate is too much to bear. He said, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. We see unconditional love will rule in eternity. He said, the time is always ripe to do what is right. Lord, I hear the voice of Jesus say, don't give up the fight. He said, where do we go from here? Chaos or community, my people. Instead of fighting each other, show some unity. He said, we fight injustice with civil disobedience. So speak up, don't be silent, and always remain non-violent. Yeah, let's work it out, don't fight it out. Come on everybody, let me hear you sing it. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. This one is for the king. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. Come on everybody, one more time. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. Yeah. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the road
That was awesome. I'm here. Oh my goodness. Scott, can you hear me?
Was that Oshala?
Yes. Hi.
What's going on, my sister?
Hi. Oh my God. We're right in the middle of our MLK celebration. We got kids and actually I just pulled away. So I apologize, everybody, but I'm here and just that was beautiful. I just saw that and thank you so much. We're steeped in our Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King right now. So thank you. Blessings to you all.
You're muted.
Uh-oh, I'm muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
You're going to be on after I show this video. I have one more video to show, and then you're on for the agenda. So.
Oh, okay. You can hear me now, though, right?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
But I'm going to mute you right now so that it doesn't interfere with the. So when I introduce you, we'll come back on and unmute yourselves then. Okay.
Oh.
This is how it is. We're all coming from different places. It's pretty incredible. So we're going to actually show a short speech by the Reverend himself. And we chose this because it's not so well known, but we found that it's something that everybody can relate to. As Deborah previewed, what is your divine blueprint? So as we listen to his words, let's drop into what he was having to say back then and what the world was like at that time, but also how do we relate to it today? And I want to invite everybody to put that in the chat box. As you're listening to him speak, how does this impact you and what is your blueprint?
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have as a basic principle the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it. and to do it well. And I say to you, my young friends, that doors are opening to each of you. Doors of opportunity are opening to each of you that were not open to your mothers and to your fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to enter these doors as they open. And so I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school, and I understand all of the sociological reasons why we often drop out of school. But I urge you, in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you are forced to live so often with intolerable conditions, stay in school. And when you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Set out to do a good job, and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better.
I'd like to invite everybody to take a minute, all of you who are in our Zoom room and those of you watching on Facebook, and put into the comments, put into the chat, how does this inspire you? What is your life's blueprint? And I'll save this chat. And those of you on Facebook can read what everybody else is saying. What is your life's blueprint? You know, when he said, my young friends, well, I'm sure at the time he was giving the speech, I guess at a college or graduation, but aren't we all his young friends where he is now and where we are? And his passionate request for us to really tune into what our job is at this time and to do it as though God Almighty has asked us to do that. What's your divine blueprint? What job do you feel called to do at this incredible moment in human history? Healing the racial divide? Remembering people that are less fortunate? Every single one of you are precious cells in the emerging butterfly coming out of the dying caterpillar. Every single one of us, every single one of you. And I'm seeing in the chat, to create community, a student learning how to create better peace and understanding within my own family. That is as important as anything. To play healing and powerful music for the spirit, compassion, understanding, acceptance, to shine and reflect each other's shining. To be a freedom fighter, freedom for all, bringing into mainstream the science of unity from the resonance science. Thank you, everybody, for your incredible missions. And this is a great opportunity. Please continue to write in the chat box, because I'm going to bring on a woman that has been doing her role for a long time. I met her when she was 19 years old. She was a budding actress. She came to work for my theater company, worked with my theater company. We were the educational theater company. We did shows in schools. She was an actress. And then we started a camp at Jane Fonda's Ranch in Santa Barbara for 11 years, ran the camp there. And she was one of the beloved camp counselors. One of her students was a woman named Angelina Jolie, but we didn't know her as Angelina Jolie then. We knew her as John Voight's daughter. This is Oshala. And Oshala does amazing work. She is an actress, a dancer, and most of all, a community activist. Do unmute yourself, Oshala.
Okay, I'm muted. Does everybody hear me in the house?
We hear you, dear.
Okay. Well, I am so steeped in Martin Luther King today. Like we're in the middle, we had kids running around, birthday cake, and people, panelists, and just there's a lot of things going on. So I didn't even have time to go home. So I'm just, kind of broadcasting from like a little closet.
Well, I'm going to bring on, tell us a little bit about where you are, because this is our recipient for tonight. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but tell us about where you are, Oshala.
Okay, well, I am you can kind of see behind me, you can see some very cool pants. These are the latest leggings that are coming out of Ghana. They are so cool. Like, look at these. There's like stretchy pants coming out of Ghana. Everything in the MC Arts Gallery and Gift Boutique are handmade, local, from local people, local here in this community, but also throughout the diaspora. So our mission with MC Arts and Culture is to really uplift the communities in the African diaspora for the betterment of the entire humanity. Given the state of Black America and the diaspora around the world, as Black people, and looking at that, we stand on the shoulders of Dr. King. He gave us the mission to continue the work for not only civil rights, but the work of healing the trauma in our communities. And so my work has specifically been in the work of healing, not just healing all people, but of course, because I identify and am a Black woman in America, a lot of my healing of the trauma happens in my community. And one of the ways that I work on bridging communication and establishing relationships with other communities is through art and through our communication with artists, and also social equity and social capital. So if you look here, like we have this amazing, necklace, and we have bracelets from handmade. Everything is like, in here is just an expression of artistry. We did this as a collective. I believe very strongly as we move into a new way of doing things, because it's really about us taking the reins from these oligarchs. Let's be real about it. These people who are trying to control our lives, right? The 99% of it. I have not forgot the Occupy movement and the 99% movement, because that's at the end of the day, that's what it's all been about. It's trying to control those on the bottom, whether it's Native American people, whether it's African people, Native Americans stealing the land, bringing Africans over to build the land, bringing indentured servants over. I'm like, who really is gaining from all this? And so it's really about how can we come together and celebrate together, to create art, to continue to dance, not let anybody take our spirit away. And how can we move forward in harmony? And this is what we do through the arts and throughout the throughout the land. So that's my thing.
And tonight's organization that we are supporting is the MC Arts and Culture. And so your contributions are going to go to support Oshala and her amazing artists. And Deborah will put the link in throughout the night. You'll see the link where you can contribute. And I'm just going to briefly, we're going to meet one of her artists in a moment. And because it is so important for us to support artists and musicians, especially now when so many musicians and performing artists cannot be out there performing because clubs, bars, restaurants, festivals are not happening. And so we need to support our artists. And I'm going to the website of the mcartsandculture.com. And these are all the amazing artists and entrepreneurs. And you're going to meet Lumumba in just a moment. But these are all the different artists that are doing work there. And then, as you go in, and there's Oshala, there's Ricardo. You're going to meet Ricardo a little bit later on tonight. He's a 80-year-old jazz musician and an amazing equity activist. And all these different artists, this is where we find out about their work, whether it's performing arts or visual arts, and where we can buy their artwork. So it's a really important in supporting communities. This is the one we've chosen as an example. And I'm going to ask you, Oshala, now to introduce your friend Lumumba, who I'm going to bring on to join us. But tell us a little bit about this remarkable man.
Lumumba is truly a remarkable human being. When we talk about the life blueprint, the test, we are often tested. So what happens to us that is terrible define us, or does it refine us? Does it define us, or does it refine us? And Lumumba is a perfect example of some really horrific conditions that some people would say are very horrific. I would say, for me, if I were locked up in a penitentiary for 41 years of my life, that would be really horrific for me. And to be able to work with someone like Lumumba, who that has been his reality, he can tell you a lot better than I have. But what really is so amazing about Lumumba, and what brought us together, was the quality of his artwork, and Scott will pull that up, and then just how everything that he does, every color that he uses, says something about the healing, and it just says something, like, you know, all artists that create. The reality is that we lock up more people in this country than I think we're just second to Saudi Arabia, which is a monarchy. That's the reality, that at this moment, while we are on this call, we have a large percentage of Black men. 1 in 3 Black men in this country are in the prison injustice system. And it's not to say that Black folks are uniquely criminals, you know, because we know a lot of other criminals, right? Criminals come in all forms. A lot of them wear suits. A lot of them poison entire cities with lead. However, who gets locked up is often people who are on the bottom, whether they're Black people or people who are living in Appalachian Mountains, are locked up, and they're often invisible. And when they're there invisible, guards can do anything they want to do to them. So to have someone come out with the level of amazing inspiration that Lumumba has, for me to be able to say he is literally like my right hand in terms of the work that is needed to be done at the Arts Gallery as part of our collective. Amazing human being, just full of heart, full of love. It's just, I mean, his story makes me really want to cry, because it's just so deep. And yeah, I'm just so glad that he is, that he's still here, that he's still alive, and that he is with us, and that he's able to share his story and to share his work.
Well, welcome, Lumumba. Welcome to our show. And, you know, tell us, you know, what would you like for us to know about your life experience? Maybe what you've seen tonight, the Martin Luther King video, how it's inspired you, and how your artwork has kept you moving forward.
It hasn't been easy, Scott. Can you imagine yourself being in a cell for 40 years and 9 months?
No.
That's 4 decades plus, almost. And you can only imagine what I've seen in prison, because I went to prison January 10th, 1978. I was convicted on June 23rd, 1977. Come March of this year, within about 2 months, I will be released from parole all the way. It will be, that whole boulder will be lifted off of my shoulders. They're just detaching me from the prison system, period. I don't know how that's going to feel when that day comes, but I sure hope it feels as good as it felt when they told me, we're going to let you go home after all these years. You shouldn't have been here after all these years, that long. Surviving in prison is one thing. When you've seen brutal attacks, when you've seen and held a person die in your arms in the middle of a riot over and over again, you think that it might do something to your psychic after a while. You think that it might do something to your heart after a while. Will it make you bitter? Will it make you hate towards a system that locked you up? I felt all of that. I felt all of that. And then finally, after all these years, I was transferred from one prison to another to San Quentin to serve out my last couple of years there. And believe me, I had no righteous control where I can say I got my emotions in check. I didn't know how to hold my emotions in check. After being, you can say I've been traumatized, I don't know how many times in prison from what I've seen and experienced. How do you live with trauma? Past trauma, started from shock trauma. And you see a lot of shock in prison. Believe me, it's a whole lot. 4 decades, you see a lot. But I've learned to control my emotions. I know what it feels like when you get angered. You can feel your shoulders get tense, your jaws get tense, your palms start sweating. I've learned to control all of that. But throughout that whole struggle, one thing that I did from day one almost, when I first got to prison, one of my young girlfriends sent me some drawing tablets, sent me some color pencils and markers. That's when I started. That was in 1978. That's when I started. And even then, prison was crazy. Racial riots. Drug riots wasn't even thought of. It was just mostly racial riots in California prisons. But I kept sketching because a lot of people walking around with this, you see the tattoos on their bodies, and that amazed me. I said, I got to do that art. So I started doing block letters. And from then on, I kept on sketching until people wanted tattoo patterns on their bodies. And then I started learning how to tattoo people. But when HIV came into effect, that's when I said, no more tacking for me. I don't want to take that chance. But as I grew in prison, Folsom Prison in particular had what you call a hobby shop where you can learn how to cut diamonds, do paintings, leather. It was a beautiful shop. And I was a youngster then. And older guys would say, look, youngster, I know you want a lot to learn, but don't be wasting my time. If you're going to be here every day. Don't waste my time. And I heard that. I heard that clearly because it was a solid bond of unity throughout that era. And it felt good. And as I went along, I did learn how to make patterns to make jewelry with. I did learn how to carve. I do know how to do. Prison has taught me so much that I took advantage of it. I never forgot how many trades I didn't accomplish over the 40 years.
Well, you've accomplished a lot now, and I'm going to go to the art gallery. And again,
Yes,
this is the art gallery that we are supporting tonight, that you are supporting, everybody. And look at Lumumba's amazing, beautiful work that he does now. And very diverse, incredible use of color and incredible designs. And Lumumba, it's one of those ones where I can't pause it the way that you've got it. It keeps going. But I'm going to stop on this one and just keep going back to it because it's so powerful. And I think you said this is, you call it Atlas Carrying the Earth?
Yes, Atlas at Work.
Atlas. And tell us how that, I mean, I'm sure that represents some part of your heart and soul, yeah?
It represents your internal strength. That's one thing. And I've developed that over the years because I didn't have no choice. You have to be strong when you're in an encaged society. There has to be no signs of weakness. I mean, physically, mentally, emotionally. And I built that every day. And as time went by, it felt like I was carrying a heavy load that I knew I had to carry. And I just started sketching that out day by day. And it turned out to be Atlas at Work, because I felt in my future, I'm gonna do exactly what Atlas done, the God Atlas, putting planets in place, but I want to put programs in place along with the Charlotte MC Arts and Culture, because I'm a member of that. And when you speak of Martin Luther King, oh, that man, one thing that I do love about him is that throughout the 60s and the 50s, Black people needed a savior. They needed to stay in contact with the highest powers. They came to church. I don't know how powerful that man was through that era because I was a young kid then. But my mama and them, they loved Martin Luther King. And one thing that I love about him as well is that He knew what the values of unity meant. He knew that sometimes unity just cannot be broken when you got the right leadership. And when they came to him, it was in the church. This man is in the presence of God. If he wasn't getting his instructions from God, then he had to be getting it from his ancestors and their ancestral spirits and knowledge. That's why I felt so good about Martin. Even though today it's hard for me to go to churches and hear certain people because their leadership is sometimes tainted and it's sometimes powerful. Martin was never like that. People gave their life and was willing to continue to give their life because he brought the right message to them. Yes, Martin Luther King, he was one indeed a motivator to me as I learned more and more, because everywhere he went, he knew how to get in the church and unify people and put them out there in God's presence and hope that we'll get victories. I don't want to continue on. I can go on and on and on. A lot of my artwork is what I call conversation pieces. I don't just, you're not going to just sit there and look at my picture and say, oh, that's nice. It's going to make you think.
That's right.
It's going to make you feel something. I wish that Shala can take you to one painting on the wall that I would love for you guys to see tonight. It's at the gallery right now, but I know we're in the middle of a meeting, but it's called We Are Not Targets.
Is it actually in the
It's in the gallery on the wall. It's not in my profile right there.
Oh, it's not on. Okay. All right.
No, not that one, but it's in the gallery. It's those are just a few of my pictures, but the gallery has plenty more in there. If Shala had time, I would love for you guys to see that picture, because one thing that I do want to do is stop this violence out here. I'm in East Oakland. I mean, it's almost like the murder capital of California right now. This murder is almost every other day out here. So I want to get the United Players and other people that speaks out against gun violence and do something about this madness out here.
Absolutely. So here's what we'll do. Two things, because I think people want more Lumumba. Oshala, go ahead and please take a photo, and I will come back to Oshala and either have her showing it live with her camera or have her take a photo so we can see that picture. And last night, we did a 2-hour edition of the Straight Talk Show with Lumumba and Oshala and Cindy Acker. And so you can go back and watch that. We'll put the link where you can see our Straight Talk Show. Is a very powerful 2 hours where we can really go deeper into hearing Lumumba's story, as well as hearing from Oshala and Cindy, and a couple of other very powerful community leaders. So I want to really encourage everybody, go and watch the Straight Talk Show. You can find it on Facebook right away by going to Love Coach Academy page, to the videos. We'll also put that link in. And Lumumba, thank you so much for being on our show. And I definitely would love to do another full show with you and Oshala soon.
Of course. Anytime. Just call me.
All right. God bless you, sir. All right. Well, luckily we've got some soulful music to just kind of drop into after what we've just seen. And to introduce that, here's Deborah.
Thank you, Scott. And how powerful. Just thank you so much, everyone so far that has shared. And yes, it's great to go into music with Jenya Carter. I would say she's a demonstration of the power of art, which we've just been sharing here, and the power of her passion. She's only 20 years old. And she's beginning her music career, but incredible musician. She's developing her voice and her style. She's done several songs on streaming platforms. She's traveled a lot, done a lot of performances, and we're really happy to showcase her here tonight. Jenya Carter.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I really appreciate that, the introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with all of you this evening. This show in particular is, I think, very powerful. I think coming at a very important time for everybody in regards to where this last year has taken us, the way it's kind of broken us down and built us back up. So I'm going to sing a song called Before You Go by Lewis Capaldi. This song is, I think it's beautiful. It, to me, speaks to the process of feeling broken down in those of us who've had the moments of feeling out of touch or left behind or a little bit lost, and that realization that, sometimes we have to take that moment to check in on one another and make sure we're okay, and to take care of one another regardless of status or race, etc. I will be performing later on in the show with something a bit more uplifting, but this song, for me personally, speaks to kind of more of the trials and tribulations of the past year, something that I can relate to, and hopefully will bring a message or some peace to you guys out there listening and watching. Is this level, can you guys hear the guitar okay? Okay, I see some heads nodding, so I'll get into it. I fell by the wayside like everyone else. I hate you, but I was just kidding myself. Not every moment I start to replace, 'cause now that you're gone, all I hear are the words that I needed to say. When you hurt under the surface, like troubled waters running cold. Well, time will heal, but this won't. So before you go, was there something I could have said to make your heart beat better? If only I'd have known you had a storm to weather. So before you go, was there something I could have done to make it all stop hurting? It kills me how your mind can make you feel so worthless. So was never the right time. Whenever you called, I went little by little until there was nothing at all. Not every moment I start to replace, 'cause now that you're gone, all I can think about is seeing that look on your face. When you hurt under the surface, like troubled waters running cold. Well, time will heal, but this won't. So before you go, was there something I could have said to make your heart beat better? If only I'd have known you had this storm to weather. So before you go, was there something I could have done to make it all stop hurting? Kills me how your mind can make you feel so worthless. So before you go, would we be better off by now if I had just let my walls come down? Maybe I guess we'll never know. You know. So before you go, was there something I could have said to make your heart beat better? If only I'd have known you are the storm to weather. So before you go, was there something I could have done to make it all stop hurting? It kills me how your mind can make you feel so worthless. So, before you go. And that is Before You Go by Louis Capaldi.
People are applauding. They're all muted, but they're applauding.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Xenia, it's so wonderful to have you with us. And luckily, she's going to come back and do another number. But to support her and to find out more about Xenia, she's on Instagram at Xenia Carter. It's spelled Jenyacarter, Xenia Carter. She's also on Facebook at Xenia Carter Music. She's on YouTube at Xenia Carter. And for more information, you can email her at xenia00@gmail.com. And it's so special to have you, right after having Lumumba, who's had a longer life and a hard life. And here you are coming on with such beautiful music and such soulful.
Thank you.
And I'm just appreciating the juxtaposition between you and Lumumba, two very beautiful, soulful beings, blessing us with your presence and with your art tonight.
Thank you
I'm
very
gonna
much.
add him to the picture for a minute.
Yeah, please.
Because look at these two beautiful souls at different stages of life, still providing art and just, you're both very, very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. It means a lot. I really appreciate it.
And we will hear more from her a little bit later on. All right. Well, we really want to encourage everybody to continue to come and join our tribe. Join the Global Peace Tribe. So if you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on one of our broadcast partners, please go to globalpeacetribe.com and register so that we can follow up with you, because we've got a lot of exciting things we're doing. In addition to Saturday Night Live, we're launching some really exciting new programs. So please join us. I want to thank Jay Mayer and Light Touch for providing all of our videos that you see tonight and every week. Thank you very much. I'm now going to bring on two very special people that are definitely community leaders. This is Cindy Acker, who I've just been getting to know this last few weeks. And you're going to be seeing a fair amount of Cindy tonight. And hopefully tomorrow, her play, which we'll talk about in a little bit. She's written an extraordinary play, which we'll talk about. But I'm going to also bring on the person that she's going to be talking with. And this is Reverend Tim Lytle. And he is the Reverend for the Senior Minister for Unity of Marin. So as you're looking at both of them, I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. Cindy is a playwright and a director and an educator. She's a 5-time award-winning educator. She's sung with the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir, Glide Ensemble, Unity in Marin, MCC Worship, and the Praise Choir of San Francisco. She is, as you're about to see, a very impassioned keynote speaker and a race-conscious educator. And that's where she's going to be putting her attention tonight. Reverend Tim Lytle is the Senior Minister of Unity of Marin. It's north of San Francisco. He serves on the board for Unity Worldwide Ministries. He's a board certified professional chaplain, and he has studied many different spiritual paths. He's worked with community rights of workers, immigrants, and minorities. So I want to welcome both of you to our show. And
Thank you.
Cindy, tell us a little bit about the education work you've been doing and your collaboration with Reverend Tim and his church and his congregation.
Sure. Well, I was asked by Reverend Tim if I would consider chatting out how to assist the community with some race conscious training. And so we talked about that for a little while, trying to design what was the best path to go. And I'd been doing race consciousness town halls for international Montessori schools after COVID and all of the unrest that had come out of that. And the one thing that I discovered was that people really needed a safe place to be able to learn. There was so much information that many people just didn't know. And they needed a safe place to be able to say exactly where they were feeling in the moment. And I think that that's so important so that you can start to learn how to do your work and walk your walk. And so we chatted about how to do that in a forum and started that on Wednesday nights and came up with the title Getting Real with Race. And we've covered a number of different topics, and it was interesting because Tim has been incredibly vulnerable there, and he can talk about that, and saying that this is also his work, that he's not trying to teach people what to do. He's also doing the work along with everybody else. And so we've covered a number of topics that are not so easy. I took everyone through a long trajectory of history about race and where race began, and that it is a human construct, and that people actually don't belong to races if they are following what is true, true science. And that part, I think, took a little while for everyone to gather. And I think the main point that I'm hoping that people can start to understand is that if we dismantle that construction of race, and we look at the story underneath it, that underpins it, that with that story, so many things have been allowed. Once people got put into race categories, and some of them were subhuman or considered to be subhuman, it then gave license to have slavery and to then get other sociologists and scientists on board to start to teach these notions about race that are actually not true, allowed it to continue. And so those were some of the things that we started to look at, and that I was hoping that we would be able to see that if we can deconstruct that, then we can start to look at human beings as people. We can look at each other, we can understand from a heart perspective who we are as human beings, and start to uncover our own biases, our own prejudices, and the mental models that we create, that we put people into and expect them to live up to. And that when we create those mental models, that we then disenfranchise people, we other them, and that we have a way to be able to move up and past that. And that we can't go back, that it's been such a cycle that we have allowed ourselves to be in as human beings, and that now we have the ability to keep working through it. So that's been the focal point of what we've been doing in our work. And Tim, you can say more, but it's been hard work,
Yeah.
heart work that is hard work.
It's good work. And I mean, I've been involved in working with marginalized communities and working with workers' rights and immigration rights and so forth. But this class that Cindy is leading us in is really helping me to go much more deeply into some of that embedded, enculturated, programmed racism. And I believe that all of us have some biases, some prejudices. I don't think it belongs to just one political party. I believe that we can find it in churches and we can find it in organizations. And like Martin Luther King Jr. was saying, that people feel like, oh, they're really moving towards equality because they have one Black person or something. And our church, this is a process for us to get real with what's really going on inside of us. And as Scott mentioned, I'm also on the board for Unity Worldwide Ministries. It's an international movement. And we're doing this work internationally. We're doing it with our board. We're doing it with our leadership and talking with Black ministers and getting real with this. And you're right, it's not always uncomfortable, but I believe that growth is worth the journey. Growth is worth facing what's going on inside so that I can be authentic, so that I can be real, so that I can connect with others. And so this class is helping me and others to face some of our blind spots, our assumptions, to do that really good work so that we can be real and not, I was reading Martin Luther King Jr. talking about the importance of creating tension, nonviolent, but tension within us so that we can begin to uproot racism, uproot prejudice, and come into the light of day. And so this class creates some of that internal tension. It creates some cognitive dissonance. That's not always pleasant, but it helps us to get real with what is happening. And so I want to thank Cindy for leading that. We had an amazing prayer vigil service here to honor those who had been killed, violence, those Black people who had been murdered, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and others, and to speak their names. So this is good work, and it's important work for us to do in the church, in nonprofits, so that we can live what we say, so that we can be real about how to live as a beloved community.
Thank you, Reverend Tim.
Cindy, you have anything?
Your internet's a little bit wonky, to be honest. So we're getting most of what you're saying, but I'm actually gonna remove you and focus on Cindy because her internet is real.
That's great.
And I want her to tell us about tomorrow, what we're doing, what's going on tomorrow. But thank you very much, Reverend Tim, for your leadership.
Thank you. Blessings. Thank you.
Hi, Cindy. So tomorrow we are hosting this wonderful play that you've created that is actually going to be a video recording. And so could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration, a little bit about what's going to take place tomorrow, and then I'm going to show the clip, the video clip. And
Sure.
We'll show two clips today. I'm going to start with the Fleming clip after you introduce it.
Okay. So I started writing a play. My school, I consider my school a social justice school, and I do a lot of training for schools about how to be a social justice school. And so I began working on a play because I wanted the students to be able to understand about the beginnings of education. And I wanted teachers to be able to learn that also, that education actually began as something that was disenfranchising because it was only for people who were male and white, and people of color couldn't learn how to read or write legally, and that the colonization has happened because of education. And so I started to go back, how far could I go back in telling this story? And I decided that I wanted to spring people from the information about when people of color were allowed to read and write and schools started to come up but were segregated, and the disenfranchisement that happened from that. So I started to write and research. And as I started to look at the court cases that came up, that Brown versus the Board of Education was the culmination of many different court cases that the NAACP had been championing and losing fight after fight. They were losing each case until they finally got to Brown. And so as I was writing, a woman came to me. Her name is Deborah Warren, and she is the granddaughter of Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren, the former Supreme Court Justice, and she asked me if I would like to have his memoirs to help inform my work. And I said yes, and I went back and I decided to extend the information that I was writing and to really dig deeper in some of the history and the characters. And I came to discover the importance of allies. I mean, I've known that, but I started to see that there were people who were witnesses and people who were the plaintiffs who wanted to end segregation and who put their lives on the line in order to do it. And so it wasn't just that there were people going to court. It was really that people were risking their lives in order for this to happen. And I think people need to hold that. We need to hold the footprints that have happened before us, that have paved the way for other freedoms and for other rights and for other justices that needed to be made. And so, so we performed the play once, and then a number of cities asked if we would bring it to their city in March. We were preparing for April, and then COVID happened, and so we stopped. And someone suggested that we try to put the play outside with people in cars and sound coming in and project people, put a stage in front of a wall and project something up. And we couldn't quite sort out the funding for that. And so in the meantime, we started to work on a Zoom production. And when that happened, I recast, and I recast wide. And so we ended up with actors from New York and Atlanta and Los Angeles, everywhere. And it became more difficult for them to be able to meet because we had time zone issues, but they were so committed to the purpose of the play and to the words that were there. And there were some actors who have said that it's the best work that they have ever done. And so we attempted to figure out how could we have it on Zoom, but have it not feel so much like it was Zoom. And then we ended up with a lighting engineer who started to help us, and a technical assistant who started to help us, and an Emmy Award winning editor. And so it's become so much more, and has such a feel. And from before the clips, it has transformed even since then. So now we've added music and a number of other things to it, which has been incredible, and a number of musicians who have offered their music to be added to the play. And so it's going to stream in this format for the first time tomorrow. And we're
going to see a clip in a moment. I apologize for interrupting. We're going to see a clip in a moment, but here is where people can register. They go to Unity in Marin, and it's called Words That Make a Difference, Brown versus Board of Education. And they just come here, come to this link. Deborah's putting the link into the chat box, and we'll put it into Facebook. And this is where people can register. If it's too long a link for you out there in Facebook land, if you just go to unityinmarin.org and then go to the events section, you'll find it. And that's where people can register. Yeah. Tell us about the clip we're about to see.
So this is the Silas clip?
Yes.
Okay. This is Silas Fleming, who was one of the plaintiffs in the case. He was approached by the NAACP to be a plaintiff. And at this point in the clip, he is saying to the judges that he really wants to be able to explain to them why he decided to be a plaintiff in the case and to go up against the Board of Education.
Okay, here we go.